Learn English through stories D19. Adapted and modified by Kulwant Singh Sandhu. Contents: 1. The Last Laddu. 2. The Rabbits and the Elephants. 3. The Seed of Truth. 4. Grammar page. 1. The Last Laddu. By Sudha Murti. Once upon a time, there lived a miserly old couple, Kanjusa and Kanjusan. They did not have any children and never spent a paisa on themselves. They never repaired their house or cooked good food. They wore old patched clothes and lived in a run-down little hut. One day, a family moved into the village, close to Kanjusa and Kanjusan's home. It was their little boy's birthday, and they sent 2 delicious besan laddus to the old couple. The 2 ate a laddu each with great relish. For many days after that they could talk of nothing else. How soft they were, how the ghee dripped from them, they exclaimed to each other. Finally, the old man Kanjusa could take it no more. He told his wife, "Let's buy the ingredients to make just 2 laddus." Kanjusan was delighted. Then she warned her husband, "If I make the laddus at home, the neighbors will get to know and want to share. Let's go to a secluded spot in the woods and cook there, that way no one will ever know." So the next day Kanjusa got the ingredients from the market, and they set off to the woods to make the laddus. They indeed turned out delicious, but since they had never cooked anything like this before, and had not known the correct measurements, they ended up with 3 laddus instead of 2. The old couple returned home with a bowl of sweets, dying to bite into them. But when they sat down to eat, a problem arose. How would they divide the 3 laddus? "It was my idea, and I went to the market, so I must get 2 and you will get 1, said Kanjusa. But Kanjusan was not one to give in so easily. "I prepared the sweets, I must set 2 and you can have 1. They started fighting. Day wore into night, but still they fought. At last Kanjusa found a way out. "Let us not talk to each other. Whoever breaks the silence first will get 1 laddu, and the other person 2. Kanjusan agreed, and the 2 sat quietly, waiting for the other to talk first. Hours passed, but no one spoke. After some time they lay down bored, with the bowl of sweets between them. 2 days passed thus, and the neighbors got suspicious. They came and banged on the door, but the old couple would not answer in the fear of losing the bet. Then one neighbor climbed to the roof, and after removing a tile, peeped in. He saw the couple lying on the floor, a bowl between them. "They are dead. The food is still lying there untouched," he screamed. Soon the door was broken open, and the house was swarming with villagers. They discussed the funeral and wondered where the misers had hidden their wealth. Kanjusa and Kanjusan heard everything but did not get up in the fear of losing out on a laddu. Finally, the villagers carried them to the cremation ground and placed them on 2 pyres, though someone did suggest using only 1 for the 2 of them, as they were such misers. As the flames started licking their feet, Kanjusan jumped up, screaming, you win, I don't want to die." Kanjusa too jumped up happily. "I have 1, I will now eat 2 laddus." And the 2 rushed home, leaving a flock of bewildered, terrified villagers behind. But alas, in the excitement of the funeral, the villagers had left the door of the hut open. The old man and woman rushed in to find a stray dog licking the last crumbs of the sweets from the bowl. 2. The Rabbits and the Elephants. Once upon a time, there lived a herd of elephants in a forest. A mighty elephant by the name of Mahapashu was their king. There was a big lake in the middle of the forest, where all the animals used to go to drink water and to take a bath. Once it so happened that there was no rain for the whole year, and the lake dried up. Many of the birds and the animals died of thirst. The elephants got worried that if they didn't get water soon many of them would die of thirst. The elephants decided to take the matter to their king, Mahapashu. So they approached their king and said, "You Majesty, as you know, there is no water in our forest. Many of the birds and animals have died due to thirst. We require water in order to survive. If we will stay here soon, many of us will die. We have to find out water as soon as possible." The king elephant considered the idea and asked the elephants to go in different directions to find water. Fortunately, one of them found a large lake full of water in another jungle far away. The king elephant got happy to hear this news. He ordered all his followers to make their way towards the lake. This lake was full of water and never went dry, even if it didn't rain. On the way to this lake, there was a settlement of rabbits. The elephants had to pass through this settlement of rabbits. Thousands of rabbits got crushed under the heavy feet of the elephants, and many of them got wounded. The rabbits fled in terror. The situation was getting severe, so the king of the rabbits called up a meeting. In the meeting, the king said, "A herd of elephants is passing through our area. They have killed thousands of our friends. We are in a critical need to avoid more deaths. I want all of you to think of a way to save our race." All the rabbits underwent a thought process. Suddenly, a little rabbit derived a plan and said to the king, "Your Majesty, if you will send me as your messenger to the king of the elephants, I might find a solution to this problem." The rabbit king gave his approval to the idea. The little rabbit rushed towards the lake. When he saw the herd of elephants returning from the lake, he realized that it was impossible to get near to them. Then he thought that how could he talk to the king of elephants? Thus he climbed up a hill and shouted, "O king of the elephants, please listen to me." On hearing the rabbit's voice, Mahapashu stopped for a while and replied, "Who are you? From where have you come?" The smart rabbit answered, "I am a messenger sent to you by the moon god." The king of the elephants said, "Why you have come here?" The rabbit replied, "Moon god has sent a message for you. A messenger speaks only truth. Please consider that a messenger is never punished for what he has to say. He is only doing his job, so you must not be angry with me." Mahapashu confirmed him that he won't be harmed in any way. The little rabbit said, "The moon god is angry with you because you have brought your herd to his holy lake and have disturbed the peace. You have crushed thousands of rabbits to death on the way to lake. Rabbits are under the special protection of moon god. Since you have bothered the moon god and his special creatures, he is extremely annoyed with you and wants you to leave his kingdom at once. If not, then you might face terrible consequences." The king elephant was scared to hear this message from the moon god. He said, "You are right. We have killed many rabbits on our way to the lake. But really that was done in ignorance. I will see that you do not suffer anymore. I want to request the moon god to pardon me for my sins. Please advise me what I should do." The rabbit replied, "Okay. I will take you to the moon god. Pay your homage to the god and ask him to forgive you for the crime you have committed. Come with me." At night, the rabbit led the king of elephants to the lake. Both the rabbit and the elephant stood near the bank of the lake. There they saw the reflected image of the moon in the still water. Just then, a mild breeze blew, disturbing the waters of the lake, and the moon seemed to move to and fro. When Mahapashu saw this, he thought that the moon god was really angry with him. He bowed to the moon god in panic. The rabbit said, "O moon god, the king of elephants has done a sin in ignorance. Please forgive him. He is taking away his herd from here and promising never to come back." Frightened, Mahapashu bowed once again to the moon god and left the place with his herd immediately. And the rabbits lived happily in their settlement ever after. Moral: wit can win over might. 3. The Seed of Truth. By Sudha. Long ago, the country of Gandhara was ruled by the just and good king Vidyadhara. His subjects were very happy, but as the king grew older, everyone got more and more worried. The king did not have any children who could take over the reins of the kingdom after him. The king was an avid gardener. He spent a lot of time tending his garden, planting the finest flowers, fruit trees, and vegetables. One day, after he finished working in the garden, he proclaimed, "I will distribute some seeds to all the children in the kingdom. The one who grows the biggest, healthiest plant within 3 months will become the prince or the princess." The next day, there was a long line of anxious parents and children outside the palace. Everyone was eager to get a seed and grow the best plant. Pingala, a poor farmer's son, was among these children. Like the king, he too was fond of gardening and grew beautiful plants in his backyard. He took the seed from the king and planted it in a pot with great care. Some weeks passed, and he plied it with water and manure, but the plant did not appear. Pingala tried changing the soil and transferred the seed to another pot, but even by the end of 3 months, nothing appeared. At last the day came when all the children had to go to the king to show the plant they had grown. They started walking to the palace, dressed in their best, holding beautiful plants in their hands. Only Pingala stood sadly, watching them go by. Pingala's father had watched his son working hard with the seed and felt sorry for him. "Why don't you go to the king with the empty pot?" he suggested. "At least he will know you tried your best." So Pingala too wore his best dress and joined the others outside the palace, holding his empty pot in his hand and ignoring the laughter around him. Soon the king arrived and began his inspection. The pots held flowers of different shades, beautiful and healthy, but the king did not look happy. At the end of the line stood Pingala, and when the king reached him, he stopped in surprise. "Child, why have you come with an empty pot? Could you not grow anything?" Pingala looked down and said, "Forgive me, Your Highness, I tried my best. I gave it the best soil and manure I had, but the plant would not grow." Now the king's face broke into a smile. He enveloped Pingala in his arms and announced, "Here is the crown prince. I had given everyone roasted seeds, which would never grow, just to see which child was the most honest one, and would admit he or she had not been able to grow anything. Only this boy told the truth. I am sure he will rule this kingdom one day with truth and honesty." And indeed, that was what happened. When the king grew old and died, Pingala, who had learned everything from him, came to the throne and ruled Gandhara justly for many years. 4. Grammar page.